When it comes to startups, I think everyone gets super excited about the start. But when it really comes to building a company, you see this all the time, whether it's co-founders or early employees. Not everyone is in it for the long haul, and not everyone even realizes how much it takes. We started in 2011 as a New York company, and then we became part of the second class for the 500 startups. Eventually I decided, well, okay, we're a New York company, we're doing 500 startups, we're gonna do some stuff in California. And by the time the program ended, I made the decision, no, like the company needs to be in California. We need to be in Silicon Valley. Well, the people that came on, they were just like super jazzed up, really hardworking people. And for all different reasons, for some reason we went from one person to us being 4 and then back down to 1 by December 31st of that year. And we had decided that we're gonna move to California, we raised a round, but you know, that's just reality. Not everyone is made to move cross country or let go of their families or and really be in it for the long haul. And I think that's the toughest thing as a founder or having a co-founder, like finding people that are really, really in it and you can keep them going, they'll stay with you. The biggest lesson I learned from there is recruiting people and helping them understand that bigger picture and filtering out for people that you think that are doing it for the right reasons. Not because it's cool, not because it's easy, but because they really want to make something of themselves. You know, we're 3 years old and we're celebrating 2-year anniversaries, 1.5 year promotions, and that's cool. That's like really great. And we figured out that sauce of like, hey, that secret sauce of how do we source the right people that are really in it for the long run? Yeah, we quadrupled in size this year, and it used to be that the entire company interviewed everyone. Now I'm still involved, so I'm sort of the last person they meet with once they've been vetted with other areas of the company, but I'm still involved and I still have it where I get to say yes or no. My job as CEO, as you sort of grow the team and different people, you let go of a lot of things and different people take on the reins of different things, and that's a good thing, but I think culture is the one thing that you just have to own. Candidates that come to me are vetted for skills and abilities, but the main thing I'm looking at is this the right person culture-wise to embody who we are, to come into the family? 24 people, I think one of two things are gonna happen. Either they're gonna be a positive 50x impact or they're gonna be a negative 50x impact. There's no like coasting or a little bit better or a little bit worse. They're either gonna crash the car or they're gonna make it way better. And that's how you should look at it. And that's how I look at it. And so I'm part of every hiring process, even now. One of the things that I think a lot of founders make the mistake of, they keep pivoting, but they never stop to check like, hey, I can pivot and maybe I'll end up with a successful company or I'll end up with some success, but do I actually care about that? It takes at least 3 years to do a startup and then understand like there's something here, and then even longer for a great outcome for most cases. And so unless you're really passionate about the idea you're solving for, you're just not going to last. And so for us, we started off as an email tool. Let's make email better. And we had teachers using us and real estate people using us and salespeople and biz dev people and PR people. And when we really looked at the data, the main thing we look for is who's paying the most, complaining the least, and are a lot of fun to work with. And salespeople did bubble up to the top. But it was one of those things where we just had to pause as a company and really ask like, hey, that's great. It's a lucrative demographic. We're close to the revenue. All these things are fantastic. But is this actually something we care about? Can we get excited about working with salespeople? Because you're not just building a software, you're doing things to help salespeople be a lot more successful. The thing that we think about is we're not building software for salespeople. We are building a religion for salespeople, and software happens to be a part of it. And unless you really care a lot, there's no way you're gonna get there. And that's what we thought about. And we paused and we thought like, nope, this is important. We want to do this. Let's go into it. Let's learn everything we can about this demographic. Let's learn about sales and let's really own it. And that's what we did. And so far it's paid off. It's going well. We started off as a freemium product, and from day one, we were about revenue and about self-serve. So we wanted to make sure we could make money and people would just put in their credit cards. And then we started doing the math of like bringing on entire teams. And we looked at, well, to bring on an entire team, we have to talk to the manager and deliver value. You need sales. In order to make that profitable, you need to just increase the cost for starters, but you need to justify all that work. Pretty soon you come to the math like, well, if we just get all that money up front, then you don't have to worry about churn as much, assuming your product is not absolutely terrible, which it's not. And you get the money up front, that means you can do a lot more with that money. So all those things started to make a lot of sense. And so there's the whole accounting aspect of like doing the math and understanding the impact on your business. And then there's also the supporting of it, like how do you actually support those customers and build those customers and manage them? There's some stuff there. Honestly, those things were figure outable. They weren't that hard. You can do the math, you get there. The hardest part was literally teaching our salespeople who were inexperienced at the time. They were young, they were new to it, incredibly smart people, but like actually telling them like, no, you got to look them in the eye. It's like, yeah, we take payments up front for the year. Like that's hard. And so we did it in stages. It was hard to get people to do that, right? So we said, okay, let's do it this way. Just tell them like if they prepay for the year, then they get a 15% discount. So like, okay, that's fair. Like I give a little to get a little. So our salespeople started to get used to that. Once we started doing that, 6 months later, it's like, okay, guys, there's no 15% discount. You just pay up front. And so they're like, okay, yeah, because they already saw the value of it. We got good at saying it. And then I think maybe we did a step where it was like 5%. But eventually we were like, you just prepay up front. And they're like, why do I prepay up front? I'm like, well, that aligns what we're doing for you and what you're doing for us. We're going to put in a lot more work to make sure you're successful. We're not just selling you the software. So let's work together. And that way we're all aligned and you're paying up front. And so we did that. And quite frankly, we are in a massive space. This is going to be a huge business. We have competitors that have raised 2x, 3x more than us. But because we've gotten so good at servicing our customers, retaining our customers, and getting the money up front, we've been able to fund our business internally and have raised a lot less and have had more control about how we grow. And it's been fantastic all in all for the business. So I highly recommend it for any SaaS company. If you can do that, a lot of things get solved for you. First of all, it's a really cool thing as a founder. I mean, if you rewind back to being in your apartment in the second bedroom in the suburbs and like, I'm gonna make something, right? And then you fast forward to like getting those first few customers and doing whatever you can to get those, and no one knows about you. And then like something happens and you're at an event or something, or you're pitching your product and you're like about to explain, like they're like, what do you do? And like, oh, I'm from ToutApp. And they're like, oh yeah, I know you guys. You're still like a little nervous. It's like, is it working okay for you? Like, is everything okay? And because you're still so early. And then you want to make sure like ToutApp, email, sales teams. And they're like, yep, no, I love you guys. My guys love you. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, and the first time that happens, or like the first time you're at a party and someone else is wearing your t-shirt, but you don't know that guy, so cool. That's when I think I started to see Tout Nation come alive, where you would just run into people constantly. And I think one of the coolest things about what we've got going is when we meet people, it's not a productivity tool. They don't describe it. It's like, oh, I love ToutApp. Love comes up. They're like, they love it. And when I go give presentations at conferences, there's a bunch of customers and they cut me off and they're like, no, that's not how let me tell you about how I use Tout. And those that start talking to the audience. So that's what I started calling Tout Nation. It's like, people are just so passionate about what we're building and they have feature requests and ideas. And it's become a consistent thing where I can't actually finish my presentation. So that's Tout Nation. It's just like vibrant community of people that it's not just about the software. It's about everything that we're doing, the people we have, how we sell, how we service them. It all comes together, and I think that's how you build religions and movements and companies. Like, you have that feeling where people belong. People feel like they belong. So that's been the cool part. So first of all, I think it's hard to fake it. Either you have it in your DNA or you don't, and I think you can reach inside on it. But if I were to describe it, I'd say you have to just be super open to having conversations. One of the debates we had internally, one of the people said, hey, we need a support at ToutApp.com. And I was like, that's terrible. I'm not creating a support at ToutApp. Like, what is support? What am I supporting? There's no support. So there's only a team at ToutApp.com. and you email team@ToutApp.com, it would go out to the whole company. That's how it started. And then it started going out to our success team, our happiness team. And now there's specific people that manage that. But everywhere in the products, like, hey, talk to us, team@ToutApp.com. Here, join our public chat room. Come talk to us and join the Tout Lounge. All of those things created a thing where it's not like I'm going to call the 800 number for support. It's more like, hey, I know those guys at Tout. I have a guy at Tout. He's going to help me out. Yeah, it doesn't scale, but who cares? Like, you figure all that stuff out later on, and we have. We've created more specialized roles, but we still kept that original spirit of like, let's just be super accessible to our customers. Let's help them. Let's help them be successful, and that I think builds community, and I think that's the key to success. The hyper-focused metric has and always will be revenue, in my mind. I'll tell you how I did it before, how I do it now. Before, and to this day it's rigged this way. Every single time that someone goes into ToutApp.com, and so we started with a self-serve business, right? Like, we didn't have the enterprise business. So we rigged it where anytime someone entered credit card, it would run this special script and it would send a text message to my phone. And my phone was rigged, and it still is, to make a cash register noise. So it would be like 1 a.m. and my phone goes off, ka-ching. Investor meeting, phone goes off, ka-ching. And it was like the best thing ever. So from day one, we've been very focused on revenue. It started with literally someone is putting in a credit card. Like, that's an event to celebrate for a SaaS business, especially early on. Now it's evolved. Like, we look at more at MRR, ARR, and we look at retention and renewals. But it's still revenue. I think that's the main thing to look at. You can do a lot of activities. I mean, sometimes you have to take a long view, but revenue is still important. That's why we're here, and I don't think that we should forget that. And so I keep that top of mind for everyone. We're open. We share our revenue numbers across the team every month. We celebrate the top sellers and the top renewals. We do all of that. It's very revenue driven. Everyone knows about it. So I think that's probably it may sound obvious, but I don't know. I don't know if everyone does it, but I think it's the right thing to do. I consider it startup 101, but like, not enough people think about it that way. And we all want to change the world, and we all want to make it a better place. We want to fix things that are broken. But I think that the toughest thing is human beings don't want to change their behavior. They just don't. And so I think you can instill new behaviors as long as it's easier than whatever they're doing, right? That's easy to do. But the hardest thing to do is get them to change their behavior. If you don't exercise in the morning at all, and if there's some product that automatically exercises you and you wake up, you're like, totally, everyone would sign up for that. If you're selling a product that's like, hey, you don't exercise, but here's a product that's gonna make you go to the gym in the morning. Like, you have to go to the gym in order to use the product. Like, you're not gonna get that much of a lift there. It's an unnatural thing. People are not going to change. When I say it that way, it's obvious, but when you think about it in terms of your product and what it's trying to do, if you create a product that I have to go and remember to go there every day, guess what, man? Tomorrow, I'm only in my calendar and my email and my phone. So if I don't remember you, I'm not gonna go back. That's why, people send out email notifications to get them to come back, but those are just crutches. One of the early bets that we took was to integrate into email. We didn't say, here's ToutApp, go to ToutApp.com and use it every day. We did that in the beginning, but a natural evolution of that was like, hey, we'll live in your email. We know you go to email all the time. We'll live there with you and make it better. And over time, we can move you towards using us all the time. So there's a gradual change there. And that's the thing that I think every person that's creating a product, you have to think about. Are you trying to change people's behaviors? Because if you are, that's a really hard thing to do. Unless it's way easier. Uber is a great example, right? Like, everyone takes a cab, but Uber's way easier, so you'll do it, even though it costs more. You'll still do it. So if it's easier, then you can change it. But if it's harder, then they won't. They'll only stick to what's there.